Douluo continent, in a small village called Chen village, a little boy about 4 or 5 years old was talking to another little boy opposite him. Do you know what a soul sage is? I tell you, that is a big man that we can't even imagine. Our village is said to have walked out of such a big man. Opposite him, the cute little boy who looked like a porcelain doll sighed helplessly. Li Dan, you have listened to the village chief's grandfather's flicker again. After saying it many times, this is impossible. If we have really walked out of the soul sage here, then we won't be as poor as we are now. No, the village chief grandpa won't lie to me, Tang Chen. If you don't believe me, you can ask the village chief grandpa. Li Dan's eyes widened immediately, and it seemed that for a child his age, being questioned was a difficult thing to accept. I won't ask the village chief, he will tell me a lot of great truths. Tang Chen murmured a few words in his heart, too lazy to pay attention to this guy who was thoroughly brainwashed by the village chief, and turned around and walked towards the back mountain. Tang Chen, where are you going, Tang Chen? Li Dan wanted to say something more, but Tang Chen didn't give him a chance to speak at all, and soon left the village. This is a world of martial arts. Everyone has their own martial arts. The strong can even move mountains and fill the sea. This is not uncommon, but when Tang Chen just saw an uncle summoning a sickle out of thin air, he was scared. Jumped. If it is a child who grows up in this world normally, it will not be like this, but Tang Chen is different. He is a traverser. Tang Chen in his previous life came from a purely technological world without magic, aura, and spirit. In which world, Tang Chen is just an ordinary college student who accidentally fell asleep in one place to sort out the club information, and when he woke up again, he came to this strange world. No, in fact, it is not that strange. This world with only martial spirits seems to be in line with a fantasy book of Tang Chen's previous life. That is the first book that Tang Chen has ever read, and its title is Douluo Continent. Tang Chen is not very sure at the beginning, but... Brother, what are you doing again? In a place with a wide field of vision in the back mountain, a boy who looked 3 points similar to Tang Chen, but looked slightly ordinary, showed a helpless expression when he saw Tang Chen. His name is Tang San, his younger brother who was born a few seconds later than Tang Chen. It is because of him that Tang Chen can be sure that he has come to the world of Douluo continent, because his younger brother is the protagonist who will eventually become in the original book. Brother, you are in a daze again. Looking at Tang Chen, who was staring at him blankly, Tang San shook his head. Tang San was already used to this inconspicuous elder brother. When the two of them were very young, my elder brother often looked at him in a daze, and from time to time he said to himself something like, "I will hold your thigh in the future." That's it, and. Boom. A small impact sounded not far away. Tang San looked at Tang Chen helplessly again, and said, "Brother, can't you control this ability? I don't know why this happens." Tang Chen lifted a rabbit that had fainted from a wooden stake not far away, and the corner of his eyes twitched slightly. I don't know how many times this is the case. As long as Tang Chen gets close to the stake, all kinds of incredible things will happen. For example, there will be rabbits, chickens, and small soul beasts that are less than 10 years old. Something hit the tree and was easily captured by him. This made Tang Chen wonder if he had a halo called the Small Animal Killer. Just like Conan's death halo, it can always attract all kinds of small animals to find their way out. It looks like I can have an extra meal today, but why is it always a rabbit? When Tang Chen recalled the heroine Xiaowu in the original novel of Douluo Continent, he couldn't help but feel the world's deep malice towards him. Yes, rabbits are delicious, but if you keep eating. Tang San also showed an embarrassed expression. Without it, the rabbits have eaten too much. Now he feels sick when he sees the rabbits. If he remembers correctly, this should be the 76th time he has caught a rabbit. He missed the smell of that chicken very much now. Okay, don't pick it, you don't know the situation in our house, it's good to have meat. Skillfully peeling off the rabbit's skin, Tang Chen blankly opened the rabbit's belly in the river beside him. After quickly cleaning the internal organs, he braided the rabbit's 2 long legs with reeds and slid away. Go to Tang San's side. Tutu is so cute, why can't it become more delicious? Tang Chen muttered in his heart, and rubbed Tang San, who was smiling stiffly, and said, let's go, it's time to go back, or the old man should starve to death. Elder brother shook off Tang Chen's claws forcefully. Tang San said with a stern face, solemnly, brother, no matter how you say it is the father who gave birth to us and raised us, don't you think this is too much? I know, you know, the bigger you are, the less cute you are. Tang Chen muttered, pulling Tang San's hand away from the back mountain. He didn't seem to see it, or he didn't see it on purpose. On the stump of a big tree not far away, there was a small one with a depth of 1 centimeter. The palm print is imprinted on it. Tang Chen, who is familiar with the plot, certainly knew what was going on. Even their father Tang Hao knew about it. Perhaps only Tang San himself still felt that his secret had not been exposed. Soon, the 2 brothers returned to their homes, a dilapidated blacksmith shop in the corner of Holy Soul Village. Their father Tang Hao was the only blacksmith in the village, so even Tang Hao's temper was not good. Not likable, but the people in the village still have to pinch their noses to ask Tang Hao for help in forging the equipment. The family's income source is very stable. However, most of the money was taken by Tang Hao to buy wine, and there was very little money to make a living. Tang Chen knows why Tang Hao appears so decadent, but knowing it doesn't mean he can understand it, so the relationship between Tang Chen and Tang Hao is not very good, and the atmosphere in the family depends on Tang San to maintain. After preparing the meal, Tang San still put the largest and most fat rabbit meat in Tang Hao's bowl, and the only rice grains in the porridge were also put in Tang Hao's bowl. Tang Chen curled his lips, but there was nothing. Say what? After a while, Tang Hao, drunk, walked out of the back room, unceremoniously holding the rabbit legs in the pan and chewing. Tang Chen raised his brows, wanted to say something, but was seated aside. Tang San pressed abruptly. Soon, Tang Hao finished his meal and went back to the back room to lie down again. The snoring sound rang again. Mistress, you. Brother, that's our dad. The dispute outside the house just started and ended. Tang Chen stirred up the crystal-clear rice soup in front of him, speechless for a long time. No one noticed. In the back room, Tang Hao, who was supposed to have been asleep, clenched his hands. Yin, our child has grown up. At night, the 2 brothers Tang San and Tang Chen lay down on a simple bed. Brother, what kind of spirit do you think we will awaken? Tang San curled up the quilt, a light flashing in his purplish eyes. In the last few days, he could feel that the Xian Gong he was practicing had reached the first bottleneck. This bottleneck that was broken in his previous life was like an iron wall in a copper city, firmly blocking his progress. He speculated that perhaps it was a different world that caused him to break through the bottleneck and lack certain necessary factors, such as the spirit of martial arts and the spirit ring that was often mentioned by the villagers. Now, he and Tang Chen are almost 6 years old, it's time to awaken Wuhan. Even with his self-cultivation, he couldn't help feeling a little excited at this time. The old man is a blacksmith, I guess your martial spirit is also a hammer. Tang Chen murmured. He naturally knew what Tang San's martial spirit was after reading the original, but now that he is in this world, it is not strange what happens under the butterfly effect, so Tang Chen lifted the quilt and said, don't think too much, go to sleep. Originally, Tang Chen just didn't want to talk to Tang San, but as soon as he closed his eyes, he fell asleep in a daze. Nan Wu, drinking la dan na, duo la ya yat, nan wu, ala yat, po lugd, shuo bo la yat, bodhi sabu po yat, maha sabu po yat, maha, jia luni gaya, om, savannah. Hungda's chanting and chanting sounded in Tang Chen's ears. It was obviously a Hungda voice more than thunder, but there was an inexplicably calming feeling. Tang Chen opened his eyes, and the golden, extremely soft light filled his entire retina. When he got used to it, he was horrified to realize that in front of him, an immeasurable huge Buddha was sitting on his body. Forward. The Buddha squeezed the Dharma seal and sat cross-legged on the endless world of Hengsha. The scriptures he read seemed to point straight to the principle of the Great Road. There were petals in the sky slowly floating down, and a mouthful of golden springs in the void opened out of thin air, and the golden lotus flowers grew out of the springs' eyes, opening wantonly. The Buddha's huge palm gently twisted a petal and smiled at Tang Chen. Suddenly, Tang Chen felt that his body and mind were washed. He faintly felt that if he speaks, then this big Buddha will give everything to myself. Who doesn't want such a good thing? Just when Tang Chen was about to reach out to the Buddha and accept all this, a sneer sounded from the depths of the void. Ra, Mopharat, Burostera, Zay, Sabharat, Zaranadara, Yan, Damadidara, Ladha Domodora. The sound of Hung Di chanting, which is completely different from the Buddha's sound, sounded in the void. If the talented Buddha's sound can wash people's hearts, then this sound is a magic sound that can arouse endless desires in people's hearts. There are black feathers falling from the sky, a mouthful of blood opens in the void, and the black magic lotus draws blood and opens. A huge demon Buddha that is not inferior to the big Buddha appeared out of thin air, sitting cross-legged with the big Buddha. Different from the benevolent eyebrows and benevolent eyes of the great Buddha, the demon Buddha is full of demonic energy, with 3 faces growing on his huge head, one with an angry and ferocious smile, and the other with a wicked smile, and the most central face is expressionless. He sits there, the endless demonic energy is raging, and the 3,000 worlds are corroded. The strange thing is that this terrifying-looking demon Buddha gave Tang Chen the same feeling as the great Buddha. As long as he stretched out his hand, everything about the demon Buddha would belong to him. The big Buddha's eyes opened in anger, his original benevolent face turned hideous and terrifying, and the Buddha was also angry. At this moment, the big Buddha is exactly the King Kong's angry eyes. He gently lifted one hand, and a round of golden swastikas printed in his hand whirled steadily, with terrifying energy fluctuations, bashing outright towards the devil Buddha. Ah! The demon Buddha sneered, and his palm was also raised, and a round of black inverted prints were also condensed, and he did not let the big Buddha blast towards him. In an instant, gold and black collided, and terrifying energy fluctuations erupted, and the void seemed to be unable to bear it, splitting through black cracks that were endlessly long. What's the situation? Tang Chen floated above the constantly fluctuating void, tremblingly watching the 2 great Buddhas fighting, lest the battle between the 2 would affect him. But everything seemed to be running wildly in a completely different direction from Tang Chen's expectations. When the 2 big Buddhas realized that they couldn't help each other, they each pinched the seal, and various magical powers condensed again, and bombarded towards each other. As if endlessly. Fearless lion seal. The big Buddha's hand squeezed his fist seal, and a lion roar resounded through the void, and the golden seal was condensed out of thin air. At this moment, it seemed that a golden lion opened its huge mouth and bite towards the demon Buddha. Under the attack of the great Buddha, the demon Buddha did not evade, he also pinched his fist marks, and at the same time the screaming roar sounded, the black demon lion roared, biting together with the golden giant lion. The void fluctuates crazily again, this time the entire space seems to be shattered, and the entire world shakes violently. Under Tang Chen's horrified gaze, the great Buddha and the demon Buddha once again pinched various seals, and clashed together with horrible air waves. Tiankai. At this moment, only this adjective remained in Tang Chen's mind. This boundless void was shattered by the collision of 2 unimaginable and powerful beings. The black space crack swallowed everything, including avoiding nothing. The avoidable Tang Chen. What? Tang Chen jumped up from the bed suddenly, then smashed Tang San who was sleeping next to Zheng Xiang. Tang San subconsciously used the mysterious jade hand, and the crystal-clear jade handprint on Tang Chen's waist, slapped him out. "Hey! Mistress, are you trying to murder your brother?" Tang Chen lay on the ground, holding his waist with one hand and groaning there. On the bed, Tang San looked around in a daze, only to find that he slapped his brother to the ground. He was shocked, even if his current mysterious jade hand is only the most primitive first, it cannot be resisted by a 5-year-old child. After all, this is also the secret of the Tang sect. But what surprised him was that Tang Chen was like a okay person, holding his waist with one hand, and hummingly got up from the ground. "Brother, are you okay?" Tang San jumped out of the bed and touched Tang Chen with a nervous expression. Gradually, his expression became weird. "Mistress, I didn't expect you to have this kind of hobby." Tang Chen hugged his shoulders and looked at Tang San shyly, making Tang San feel a bit cold. He quickly released his hand and said, "What are you talking nonsense? I went to the back mountain." Little San is still so innocent. Tang Chen sighed, but the smile on his face gradually faded. He sighed and said, Mistress, it's not that brother deliberately made you sick, but..." While talking, in Tang Chen's eyes, two small, completely opposite swastikas, one gold and one black, were spinning. "I don't even know what happened to me. I don't know what time it is, the sky is still dark, except for the sound of barking from time to time in the Holy Soul village, it seems silent." At this time in the past, Tang Chen was still lying on the bed and slumbering, and only Tang San would get up at this time to cook, and then go to the back mountain to practice. But today, Tang Chen couldn't sleep anymore. Everything in his dream made him feel something wrong, not to mention the inexplicable things that appeared in his mind inexplicably after he woke up. Different from the fact that the Big Buddha and the Demon Buddha in the dream state are not at the same time, Tang Chen can clearly feel that there are two completely different energies in his body at the same time, but these two energies are obviously from the same source, so that Tang Chen can't help but think of a famous saying in the previous life, "One thought becomes a Buddha, one thought becomes a devil." Tang Chen, who had been restless in his heart, sat on the bed for a long time, and various thoughts flashed in his heart alternately. He didn't understand why he had such a dream, and why the power of the two great existences in the dream was more in his body. Moreover, Tang Chen could feel that the power in his body was getting stronger all the time, and the inheritance that belonged to the great Buddha and the demon Buddha was gradually unfolding. This is not like an ordinary inheritance, it is more like a template that can guarantee that you can grow to that level as long as you live. "Is this my golden finger?" Tang Chen looked at his palm, a small printed like a dust in his palm, spinning steadily, even if the energy level and size are different from those in the dream, but it is true. It is exactly the same as the used by the great Buddha in the dream. Tang Chen's complexion remained unchanged, and the golden in his palm stopped rotating. Under his control, the original golden was dyed black and began to turn slowly. Gradually, a round appeared in Tang Chen's hand. The rotating black inverted prints, like a demon Buddha. Sure enough, the two big Buddhas are both from the same template, but their strengths are different. However, I can use all their power. Lightly clenched his fists, the black Buddha seal in Tang Chen's hand disappeared without seeing him jumping off the bed, folding the quilt, and then walking slowly towards the door. He urgently needs a quiet place to think about the problem, at least without Tang Hao's harassment. In the back mountain, Tang Chen lay on his back on a large rock, looking up at the sky that was gradually lit up. He was thinking about his life before crossing. At that time, he was just a very humble ordinary college student. He still remembered that he was on the way back from collecting club information. He fell asleep on the bus because he was too sleepy, and then he crossed into this world. Although it sounds nonsense, it did happen. As he traveled to a different world that was incompatible with his previous life, Tang Chen almost forgot all his memories of his previous life. However, the dream last night reminded him of the past again. "I remember, in the information I collected, there seems to be a demon and Buddha with the same body. Tang Chen clutched his head, racking his brains to recall the past. In his previous life, he joined a small society composed of several fans. What he collected at the beginning was the information of various powerful characters in the animation, which was used by the members of the society to talk nonsense with each other. That's right, their purpose of establishing a society is to find a few like-minded friends who can chat with each other. Far away, before Tang Chen passed through, he was holding a variety of powerful existence data, one of which was the same body of demon and Buddha, suppressing the existence of 3,000 great worlds. No way! Tang Chen's eyelids twitched. If things are really the same as he thought, then, wouldn't he be able to find so much information? No, I think too much. Shaking his head, Tang Chen dispelled his unrealistic thoughts. It was a blessing that such a thing happened once. It may be an important reason for his previous life to be a non-keef, and his luck when drawing cards may have been concentrated here. This made myself lucky. As for other information? Tang Chen felt like he was thinking about fart. It's a blessing to have an integrated template for the devil and Buddha, so don't think too much about it. In this Douluo continent world, as long as one can grow up, with the power of the two in the dream realm, it is still possible to run wild in the Douluo continent world. Tang Chen calmed down his mood, while learning the inexplicable inheritance in his mind, sat down cross-legged, and began to practice Dharma. The hub of all Buddhas and 10,000 journeys. Through the quiet caves. It is not the two vehicles. The opening of things and the work. It is the 10 places of the sect. It's literary and melody. Its purpose is hidden and smooth. The golden Buddha light lit up on Tang Chen. He closed his eyes and crossed his knees with a soft complexion. Under the background of the Buddha light, he was like a Buddha descending to the world, with great wisdom in every move. The wind whistling in the mountains softened, and the birds that had been hopping around in the forest calmed down, still moving in the direction of Tang Chen. When Tang Chen recites the scriptures, all the creatures in the mountains and forests are listening, and they dare not make the slightest noise, lest they disturb Tang Chen. Tang Chen has not noticed any changes in the outside world. He is now immersed in the scriptures wholeheartedly. The golden Sanskrit was undulating in his mind, and in a faint, he seemed to see a glowing candle light. Outside, at the center of Tang Chen's eyebrows, a golden light lit up. Although it was very faint, it seemed to go out in the next moment, but it still burned tenaciously. After the appearance of this brilliance, Tang Chen seemed to have had an epiphany. The various Buddhist scriptures that were originally imprinted in his mind no longer seemed incredibly obscure, but rather easy to understand, like addition and subtraction in the first grade of elementary school. This candle light is the fire of the Buddha lit by Tang Chen, and it is the light of the soul that only the great virtues and monks in Buddhism can illuminate. But Tang Chen mastered it in less than a quarter of an hour. After lighting up the Buddha's fire, Tang Chen paused slightly, and the scriptures in his mouth became completely different. The trip to Mura or Dara of Dara. Or Moto Posara. Dali Capricorn. Bodhisattva. The incomparably evil scripture spit out from Tang Chen's mouth. After listening to the new scriptures, the expressions of many animals that were calmly around became distorted. The black mist is lingering around Tang Chen. If Tang Chen before was like a Buddha who can save all living beings, then he is now like a demon who kills countless people. One thought becomes a Buddha, one thought becomes a demon. The devil and the Buddha are one, and the Buddha becomes the devil. Tang Chen can barely call it the whole body of the devil and Buddha now. The devilish energy dissipated, and the golden Buddha's light lit up again. Under the shining of the Buddha's light, the eyes of the hideous, blood-red small animals gradually recovered their clarity. And Tang Chen slowly opened his eyes. A gust of mountain breeze blew. Tang Chen felt his scalp cool. He subconsciously touched it with his hand. The original black and thick hair disappeared, and he could only feel a piece of smoothness. Tang Chen touched his head blankly. the inheritance in his mind did not tell him that such a thing would happen. Could it be that this is the so-called I am bald and become stronger? Time is like running water, without stopping for a moment. In the blink of an eye, 1 year passed. Tang Chen is still Tang Chen. In this year, he has become accustomed to his own Saitama hairstyle. Now, he can see the strange eyes of others. Of course, this is not the most important thing. The most important thing is that Tang Chen's ability has changed drastically since a year ago. Unlike Tang San, Tang Chen's practice was not restricted by the world at all. During this year, Tang Chen broke through bottlenecks one after another, but the laws of the world did not restrict him, so. At the back mountain, Tang Chen sitting cross-legged on the mountainside gently raised his hand, and a gold in the size of a baby's fist was printed on the top of his palm and swirled steadily. Compared to the small as a dust a year ago, this is not known how much stronger it is now. The power in Tang Chen's body was surging and fluctuating like a river. He could feel that the in his hand could easily flatten the hill by one layer. Soul Saint? Contra? Tang Chen didn't know exactly what stage he had reached, he only knew that his old man was no longer unpredictably powerful. At least, from the bottom, you can see the deepest scene. Scattered the Buddha seal in his hand, Tang Chen opened his eyes and looked at the large number of animals crawling in front of him listening to his teaching, a little bit dumbfounded. Now his Dharma is more sophisticated, compared to a year ago, even the number of animals he attracted has increased a lot, and he even saw a few soul beasts. After the sound of lecture stopped, the animals gathered around Tang Chen also opened their eyes one after another. They seemed to bow their heads to Tang Chen wisely, and then slowly dispersed. They will still come together when they give lectures the next day. When Tang Chen stood up and was about to go up the mountain, a plump chicken whirled in the air and fell in front of Tang Chen. There was a long and narrow wound on its neck, which seemed to be scratched by something sharp. This was made by a student of Tang Chen. It was a century-old golden bird and soul beast. Since Tang Chen had not learned the knowledge of soul beasts, he did not know its name, so he always called it Peng. When Peng came here for the first time half a year ago, Tang Chen was obsessed with cultivation and couldn't extricate himself. A golden, fluffy bird suddenly fell from the sky and stood on Tang Chen's shoulders. I don't know what happened. From then on, this little bird quickly broke through the threshold one after another just like eating Jinkila and became a 100-year-old soul beast. And Tang Chen, every morning after he finishes his cultivation, he will get a prey that he hunted. As for monks, they can't eat meat, the natural selection of things, the survival of the fittest, the poor monks just to speed up the carbon cycle in nature, Amitabha, good is good. Tang Chen pretended to recite 2 Buddha's names, and as the black light surged in his hand, he swallowed the hair and blood of the chicken in his hand. Anyway, the inheritance in his mind does not limit whether he can eat meat, so he chooses himself. Thinking of this, Tang Chen went up the mountain to find Tang San while carrying the chicken. Suck, spit, suck, spit. On the top of the mountain, Tang San stared at the purple in the horizon, and silently operated the Xian Tian Gong, absorbing the purple qi from the horizon. Over the past year, the mysterious heavenly power in his body is still at the first level, and he has never been able to break through. Even the purple magic pupil has reached the limit of, but it still needs a wedge machine to break through. But practicing is not impatient. Tang San's mind has also become indestructible after decades of polishing in his previous life. He is only now laying the foundation for the future. Besides, the Wuhan awakening ceremony is about to begin. Mistress, let's go, let's go. Tang Chen's voice awakened Tang San from his contemplation. He turned his head and saw that his brother was holding a fat chicken and walking up the mountain slowly. Tang San blinked. Recently, my brother's ability seems to be playing very steadily, at least, finally, there are no rabbits. Go, go, I'm hungry. Tang Chen dragged Tang San, grabbing Tang San in his hand as if he was lifting a chicken, and ran down the mountain quickly despite Tang San's resistance. Since 8 months ago, Tang San has not had the slightest resistance in Tang Chen's hands. This shocked Tang San once. There is no reason. Obviously, it is me who has been working hard to cultivate, but why is this so? This guy who has never worked hard will become so strong. Tang San gave up resistance weakly, looking at the sky speechlessly in Tang Chen's hands. Back home, this time it was Tang Chen cooking. To be precise, Tang Chen had been cooking since a few months ago. All of this must start from a thought of Tang San. Tang sect, the most important thing is not mental method, not skill, but the many hidden weapons that make Tang sect stand for thousands of years. Tang San in his previous life was a true hidden weapon master, even the supreme hidden weapon, which was lost to Tang sect for hundreds of years, was manufactured. Now that his cultivation is ineffective, Tang San naturally thought of his biggest reliance hidden weapon. Of course, this world is not the Tang sect of the previous life, and there are not countless materials and parts to squander. Therefore, everything can only depend on oneself. And all of this must start with iron strikes. Ironing is a job that tests stamina. The hot environment and long-term uninterrupted percussion are enough to persuade most people. When Tang San asked for iron strikes, Tang Hao refused at first, because he didn't think Tang San could stick to it. But Tang San's mental determination was far beyond Tang Hao's imagination. The task he assigned was perfectly completed by Tang San, and even exceeded it. At this point, Tang San began his daily routine of iron strikes. Tang Chen knew why Tang San did this. Seeing that Tang San's arm became swollen due to long-time ironing, Tang Chen said that he deserved it, but he still took away the work of cooking. As for persuading Tang San not to fight iron, Tang Chen felt that since Tang San had already decided, he should stop talking too much. Family, just need to understand each other. Except the old man. The chicken was unloaded swiftly. Tang Chen separated the bones and meats of the 2 chicken legs, and then cut them into diced chickens. After a simple copy, they mixed with the scallops sealed in a jar and served them to the table. This dish was Tang Chen's past life when he was too idle to go to school with Hong Lu Meng. The taste is definitely the best among the side dishes he has ever eaten. The remaining chicken was marinated by Tang Chen long ago, ready to be barbecued at night. When Tang Chen brought the porridge to the table, Tang Hao was almost hungry and stretched his chopsticks towards the eggplant on the plate. In the past few months, Tang Hao almost refreshed his worldview. He had never thought about why. The combination of a few simple things makes it so delicious. Tang San initially disagreed with Tang Chen's cooking, but since he had eaten Tang Chen's meal, he decisively shut up. Although he can cook, he is considered to be able to eat, but eating the food cooked by Tang Chen is completely enjoyable. After eating like this, the Tang family's breakfast is over. At night, after Tang Chen's barbecue baptism, even Tang San, who had been busy all day, felt that he had come back to life again. Just after a day of ironing, Tang San didn't have the energy to do anything, he couldn't help falling asleep as soon as he touched the bed. Tang Chen waited until Tang San was familiar and carefully massaged Tang San with Buddha power for a while, until Tang San's arms were completely swollen before falling into a deep sleep. Tang Chen's consciousness was silent. In a daze, he seemed to have come to a new world. He suddenly opened his eyes. Light, soft but vast brilliance flooded all of this. The sky is light, the earth is light, and everything is made of light. Tang Chen floated in the halo. In the endless light, he stared at all this blankly, feeling that this scene seemed a bit familiar. He seemed to have seen similar places. Yes, what I have seen before, on this night a year ago, that seemed to be a giant Buddha that was overwhelming thousands of worlds. Just when Tang Chen fell into contemplation, this light-forged world began to fluctuate violently, and faintly, an immeasurable existence stood on top of the sky, making a voice that Tang Chen had never heard before, but knew its meaning inexplicably. Light and darkness will separate. Then the world split, the light was torn to pieces, and it drifted to a higher space, leaving behind a deep darkness as deep as an abyss. Day and night are separated, light and darkness oppose each other, and good and evil are thus incompatible. The light is condensing, and the endless light spots are scattered in this endless world, illuminating the darkness that has never been before. The stalwart existence nodded slightly, and at a level that Tang Chen could not detect, the rules began to be established. Gravity, magnetism, time, space, entropy, temperature. Almost in the blink of an eye, everything the world has is reflected here. Time is rolling forward, some of the light spots are extinguished, and some are bright. Under the catalysis of endless energy in this emptied world, matter begins to be born. At first it was just a particle of dust, then the dust gathered into rocks, the rocks gathered into mountains, and the mountains collided with each other under the action of rules. Finally, a sphere was born. As if turning on a certain switch, endless stars began to appear in this empty world. The stars are moving, colliding, and the smallest particles that make up this world are recombining. I don't know how long it took before a consciousness appeared in this world. Is consciousness? Even if this consciousness only knows the simplest thing to be alive, the spark of life is ignited and will never go out again. The torrent of time is moving forward again, and the simplest life has become so many kinds of incredible miracles time and time again. Food chain, food web, ecosystem, biosphere, until civilization appears. Tang Chen watched curiously. In his eyes, the group of lizard people who used stone tools already had the embryonic form of civilization. But the development of things is always unexpected. The next moment, a meteorite falls from the sky and destroys the entire civilization. The spark of civilization is still there, even if the world becomes barren. In this boundless world, the spark of life blooms wantonly. Civilization is never lonely, and one civilization after another has bloomed with its own brilliant brilliance. Even if the glory is not long, it at least means that they have been here. Tang Chen watched quietly, the light all over the void dimmed with the passage of time, and even gradually extinguished. In the end, there was only a piece of pitch black left in this space, just like a piece of light at the beginning. All this is like a reincarnation. The light shines again. That stalwart existence bathed in holy light, standing in front of Tang Chen, he even heard the faint singing of praise. The void began to shatter, even if everything became dark, but the aura of doomsday was still clearly captured by Tang Chen. Irresistible, just like the same year ago, Tang Chen woke up from his dream again. The holy light surged on Tang Chen's body. He opened his eyes and quietly felt the changes in his body. Is different from panicking like a year ago. With the last experience, this time Tang Chen will no longer jump out of bed as scared as before. First of all, what Tang Chen can be sure of is that his cheat finger is not just a template. According to the pattern shown during this period of time, it seems that there will be a new template every other year. I originally thought that I was thinking of Peach, but I didn't expect that the reality was actually the same as what I thought. And even more bizarre, at least Tang Chen didn't dare to think about what it would be like to get a new template every year. However, the existence in the dream this time seems to be somewhat similar to the god of the previous life, or the creator. Tang Chen scratched his head. He was immersed in thinking and did not notice his head at all. On the smooth scalp without a single hair, a thin layer of hair grew hard. But what he didn't know was that the moment he woke up, a beam of light rose into the sky in the Spirit Hall headquarters thousands of miles away, illuminating the entire Spirit City. In the depths of the Martial Soul Hall, at the very center of the pillar of light, a tall statue of a seraph flickered. Immediately afterwards, under the unbelievable gaze of the grey-clothed man on the side, the statue seemed to come alive, kneeling in a certain direction on one knee. This is... The man in grey looked at the statue in disbelief. At the moment when the beam of light appeared, he thought it was a seraphim who had a high level in the god realm who responded to him, but the next action of the statue almost overturned him. Faith. How is it possible? How is this possible? He muttered to himself. The next moment, his face changed and became extremely majestic again. Raised his hand and lowered the curtain around the statue. Although the beam of light was still there, no one could see the specific situation of the statue. Pope, it's so late, what's the important thing to come to my temple? As soon as his words fell, an extremely beautiful and solemn woman in a gorgeous papal robes walked slowly from outside the hall. The Pope glanced at the beam of light in disgust, resisted his unhappiness, pointed to the beam of light and said, "You should know what I am here for. This is not something you should care about." The man in grey gave her a cold look. He was obviously not the Pope, but his power was far beyond. The Pope smiled disdainfully and turned to leave. She thought that the seraphim was making a moth again, but now it seemed that things were not going in the direction he expected. Since I didn't deal with him, I couldn't control it anymore. Behind the Pope, the man in grey looked at the back of the Pope leaving for a long time, and sighed deeply. He knows what he will see if he does this, but this secret must never be revealed. He turned his head and reopened the curtain. The statue of Seraph has stood up again, and the light around him has gradually recovered. Under the background of the light, he looked extremely holy. It's just that his eyes are still looking in a certain direction. The man in grey also looked in that direction, and after a long period of silence, an order was sent. The Hall of Martial Arts belongs to, at all costs, look for martial arts with all the sacred attributes in that direction. Brother, your hair has grown out. Early in the morning, Tang San's voice came. Tang Chen, who had just fallen asleep, opened his eyes, and just about to make a comment, he heard the word hair. He touched his head with a trembling hand, and immediately felt a piece of hairy, even if it was short, but this is his own hair. Tang Chen almost cried with joy at this moment. It has been a year, and apart from him, no one knows how many methods he has tried to save his hair this year. However, Goose may have become too invincible, and this invincible hairstyle is also difficult to change. And now, ran to the river outside to shine, Tang Chen's complexion became wrong. My hair has grown, but this length is just like the monk who just returned to the vulgarity. It's only 1 or 2 millimeters. You can't see the hair unless you look closely. Moreover, Tang Chen has a hunch that his hairstyle might last for a long time. The smile on Tang Chen's face gradually solidified. Just when Tang Chen was sad for his hair, an old man walked in from outside the door. Different from Tang Hao, who is always sloppy, the old man has neat clothes, good looks, and meticulous combing of his hair. He is the elder Jack of the Holy Spirit village, and he has always been at odds with Tang Hao, but he is very good to the Tang Chen brothers. Xiao Chen, come here and let Grandpa take a look. Old Jack smiled and waved to Tang Chen. Tang Chen did not act as rebellious as he was in front of Tang Hao, but obediently walked to Old Jack and bowed. Hello, Grandpa Jack. Old Jack is recognized as a good old man in the village. When the Tang family was in the most difficult time, he did his best to help. The Tang Chen and Tang San brothers naturally kept in mind the kindness of the village chief. It's just that other people at home don't seem to welcome him. What's the matter? Village head. Tang Hao walked out of the back room and said coldly to Old Jack. Old Jack was less than 10 years older than him, but he was inexplicably taller by a generation, which made Tang Hao feel very upset. Old Jack has long been accustomed to Tang Hao's attitude, he said indifferently. Tang Hao, Xiaosan, and Xiao Chen are already 6 years old, he should also participate in this year's awakening ceremony. Tang Hao glanced at Tang Chen faintly, and said, then go, what day is it? Just 3 days later, I will pick them up at that time. As he said, Old Jack glanced at Tang Hao. If he was asked to pick him up, it would probably be delayed. Tang Hao didn't care either. He just nodded and ignored the village chief. At this time, Tang San also walked back from the mountain. He had heard them discussing. He saluted Old Jack first, and then asked, Grandpa Jack, what is the awakening ceremony? In this life, although Tang Chen was a traverser, Tang San would not be ignorant of Wuhan knowledge, but because Tang Chen didn't remember some things firmly, Tang San still had a lot of fine details. Doubt. Now, the spirit awakening ceremony mentioned by the old Jack is something Tang San doesn't know. Old Jack said sternly, each of us has our own martial soul, and we must perform an awakening ceremony when we are about 6 years old. With the martial soul, we will be enhanced in certain aspects. Even the most common martial soul it will help. In case you have an excellent martial arts spirit that can practice, then you may even become a soul master. The awakening ceremony is only once a year, and I can't let you miss it. It's Notting City Martial Arts. The deacon of the Seoul Branch Hall personally came to help the children in our village to awaken. That deacon is considered a spirit master at the level of a great soul master. When said the words great soul master, Jack's eyes clearly showed envy. Great soul master. Tang San blinked, and Tang Chen had told Tang San about the many levels of the soul master. But the old Jack had a strong talk, and Tang San was the most optimistic child in the village, so he naturally said more. Great soul masters are the title of the soul master level. Soul masters are the most noble profession in our entire Douluo continent. They can be powerful fighters and they can also have outstanding auxiliary abilities. But no matter which type of soul master, the level they are all sorted by the same title. Soul masters have their own martial soul power. According to the strength of the martial soul power, they are divided into 10 titles. Each title is divided into 10 ranks. The one who has just started at first is called the soul man. As long as the soul is awakened, everyone is a spirit master. If the spirit can be cultivated, when the spirit power reaches the 11th level, it will enter the next title, that is, the soul master. The Great Soul Master is the third in the entire title sequence. After reaching the realm of a Great Soul Master, you are already a very powerful Soul Master. The overall 10 titles are like this: Soul Master, Great Soul Master, Soul Venerable, Soul Sect, Soul King, Soul Emperor, Soul Sage, Soul Contra, entitled Douluo. This is where the name of our Douluo continent comes from. In the legend, title Douluo who has reached level 90 or above can take a title for themselves, they are simply invincible. Our Holy Soul village had an 8th class soul sage 100 years ago. It is extremely rare in Notting City, and even in the entire Fastino province. Said, old Jack's eyes flashed with pride. That's just a legend. Tang Hao curled his lips and said lightly. Old Jack was furious, what is a legend? The legend comes from facts. Tang Hao, you have been in the village for 6 years. You should understand the position of the soul saint in our hearts. Let me hear your insults. Master Soul Sage, I will expel you from the village. If it wasn't for the sake of Ziosan, do you think I would come to your doghouse? Tang Hao didn't get angry, and slowly tapped the farm tools in his hands, as if he hadn't heard Jack's words. Jack gave him a fierce look, and then said to Tang San, in the future, you must not be so decadent like your father. Okay, I will leave first. I will pick you up 3 days later. After finishing speaking, old Jack left the forge angrily. Tang Chen and Tang San looked at each other and shook their heads helplessly. Tang Hao and the village chief have never dealt with each other, the two of them have long been used to it. The two cleaned up and started their lives today. At night, Tang San was lying on the bed, and the exhaustion of ironing all day made him almost unable to open his eyes. But another force made him resist the sleepiness. Brother, what kind of martial spirit do you think we can awaken? Even if Tang San was a human being, he was a little excited at this time. The curtain of another world was slowly being opened, and Tang San had been expecting it for a long time. I don't know, but the old man is a blacksmith, maybe your spirit is a hammer. Tang Chen said a few vaguely, but there was no real spoiler. The awakening ceremony is coming soon, so let Xiao San feel it for himself. Tang San on the side of saw that Tang Chen didn't mean to chat, and didn't think too much, so he fell asleep in a daze. Tang Chen on the side waited until he was asleep, carefully used Buddha's power to help him warm up his body, and then fell into a deep sleep. Tang San himself didn't know that it was Tang Chen's warmth that made his body recover so quickly. He thought he was gifted so that no matter how tired he was the day before, he would recover the next day. However, his body is indeed much stronger than the original. It's already late at night, but in Notting City not far from here, something is happening. When Xue Qinghe cast his gaze on Tang Chen, he couldn't help but stunned. It's strange, why does this child have a breath that makes me a little close? Tang Chen, who was standing beside Tang San, felt Xue Qinghe's gaze, and immediately lowered his head, while complaining to himself in his heart. You said you're okay, why do you look up? He has discovered it now. As long as he thought that he might be remembered by Xue Qinghe, Tang Chen's face turned green. If he was just the prince of the Heaven Do Empire, that would be fine, but Tang Chen knew his or her other identity. She is the young master of the Martial Spirit Hall, the owner of the top Martial Spirit Seraphim, a supreme genius with a 20th level of soul power, and the future angel Qian Rongxiu. It is not her talent, but her strategy that makes Tang Chen the most jealous. If the record in his previous life is correct, this little girl who was 9 years old disguised herself as a troubled little girl went to the hunting forest and was deliberately seen by the Prince Xue Qinghe that she was attacked by a soul beast. She was rescued and taken in by Xue Qinghe afterwards. She became the maid Zioxiu next to Xue Qinghe. Qian Rongxiu lurked around him as the maid Zioxiu to observe, understand, and learn his living habits, work and rest patterns, hobbies, behavior style, ability to do things, etc. Even Xue Qinghe she learned all the inadvertent little habits. Until the year when she was 10 years old, on the birthday of the elder prince Xue Qinghe, Emperor Shuiye of the Tiandu Empire organized a hunting meeting for Xue Qinghe, and she designed to assassinate the real Prince Xue Qinghe in this hunting meeting. Qinghe, pretending to be him, lurked in the Tiandu Imperial Palace. The original work lurked for 19 years before being discovered. Even now, the princes of the Tiandu Empire were almost killed by her design. Only the 4 princes, Xue Beng, pretended to be a dude under the guidance of his uncle, Prince Xue Xing, that escaped the disaster. Tang Chen was very self-aware. He knew that his strategy was totally inadequate, and he would be miserable if he compared with Qian Rongxiu, so he didn't want to attract her attention at all. It's a pity, the sky is not enough. Qian Rongxiu really only passed by this place, but a few days ago she suddenly felt that she was touched by something in her heart. Immediately afterwards, he learned of the order issued by his grandfather, and under curiosity, he investigated the source of the touch under the pretense of observing the people's suffering. In this small village, it's not easy to know the name of the prince of the Heaven Do Empire. Even if you know it, you should know that the prince has always been generous, and someone like Tang Chen who avoids fear and can bring himself a sense of intimacy, indeed it should be investigated. Qian Rongxiu looked away, opened her soul guide on the table beside her, took out 2 things from it, 6 black round stones and a shiny blue crystal ball. She placed 6 black stones in a hexagon shape on the ground, and then motioned to the first child on the right to stand in it. Don't be afraid, close your eyes and feel it carefully. As she said, the halo in Qian Rongxiu's eyes, in the horrified eyes of the children, she whispered, "Swan, possess." The soft white light bloomed on Qian Rongxiu. After the light dissipated, Qian Rongxiu's tall figure became slender, and a pair of white wings bloomed behind her. Under her feet, 3 circles of 2 yellows and 1 purple rose slowly, moving rhythmically behind her. Although her true realm is far more than the Threeringed Soul Master, her ability to control her own power is much stronger than that of ordinary Soul Masters, so although she is somewhat oppressed, she is still within the children's tolerance, and she does not appear as scared to pee in the original book. Case. Even so, the children around her stared at her intently, including Tang San and Tang Chen. After all, neither of them had seen a real soul master. Tang San looked at Qian Rongxiu, who had changed his appearance, in awe. He really didn't expect that the spirit master would look different after the spirit possessed. This made him even more curious about the profession of spirit master, and at the same time can't wait to know what his martial spirit is. Tang Chen was looking at Qian Rongxiu. Even after Wuhan possessed her body, she still maintained the appearance of Xueqing He, without the slightest flaw. She really didn't know how to do it. But angel martial soul is indeed very suitable for acting as a swan. This pair of wings shouldn't need to be disguised. Does this guy even take this into consideration? Qian Rongxiu quickly shot out with both hands, and 6 faint white lights poured into the 6 black stones on the ground. Suddenly, a layer of golden brilliance was released from the 6 stones, forming a pale golden light mask. The child was shrouded in it before. I don't know why, the child who was still crying before was shrouded in the pale golden light immediately became calm, and stood there a little sluggishly. One by one golden light spots floated from the black stones on the ground, and then entered the boy's body. The boy's body began to tremble slightly, but he wanted to scream but couldn't make a sound. "Child, stretch out your right hand," Qian Rongxiu said gently. The boy subconsciously stretched out his right hand, and suddenly all the light spots rushed out, and in an instant, a sickle appeared in his palm. At the moment the sickle appeared, Qian Rongxiu had already sensed that the child had no spirit power. Although the experience of the past few days had made her accustomed to this result, she was still a little disappointed. It's just that she didn't show it. After being tested and thoroughly determined that the child had no spirit power, she even comforted him a few words. This guy, if these are all pretends, it would be terrible. Tang Chen muttered in his heart. In his opinion, Qian Rongxiu's actions had no flaws, as if she really wanted to do so. The awakening ceremony proceeded very quickly. The spirits of the 7 children before Tang San were all awakened. Their spirits were all hoes, sickles, and the like. There was even a little girl who was awakened and was called a waste spirit. Blue silver grass. At the same time, none of them had soul power, which meant that none of them had the qualifications of a soul master. Finally it was Tang San's turn. Without Qian Rongxiu's words, he had already stepped forward and stood in the middle of the 6 black stones. With the injection of Qian Rongxiu's 6 soul powers, the pale golden light shined again. Warmth, this was Tang San's first feeling. The whole person seemed to be wrapped in a warm world, indescribably comfortable. No wonder the emotions of those children before being wrapped in this golden light stabilized. The warm breath penetrated into the body, and Tang San clearly felt that his profound sky skill internal strength seemed to fluctuate slightly. Then, under the traction of that warm energy, something in his body seemed to be broken. Instantly rushed to his palm. Qian Rongxiu's eyes lit up, and she could feel that there was a spirit power surging in Tang San's body, and this spirit power was at least level 8 or 9. Could it be that a rather powerful spirit appeared? She stared at Tang San's palm tightly, and the next moment, the light there shattered, and a blue and silver color appeared. How come? Qian Rongxiu's eyes widened. With such innate spirit power, why would he possess a waste martial arts spirit like Lan Yunko? That's right, Tang San's martial spirit is the blue-silver grass, which is known as the waste martial spirit. Although Tang Chen knew that his brother's martial arts spirit was not as simple as the ordinary Lan Yunko, the fact that Lan Yunko was a waste martial arts spirit had long been ingrained in the hearts of the people in the Douluo continent world. So Qian Rongxiu couldn't help showing a regretful expression. It's a pity, if this child's spirit is not blue-silver grass, with his innate spirit power, his future achievements may be extraordinary. Even so, she still did not forget to test Tang San's spirit power. She handed the crystal ball in front of Tang San, and looked at Tang San's calm expression, feeling more and more that her thoughts were right. Such a young person with such a psychological quality, even if he can't become a soul master, his future achievements will not be bad. Child, Don't be nervous, put your hands on it. Following the method Qian Rongxiu had taught before, Tang San controlled to retract his blue-silver grass into his body. He found that it was not difficult. As long as he retracted his gong power in the same way that he controlled the Xiantian art, he could do it. At the same time, he also discovered that when the blue-silver grass appeared, it seemed that his own mysterious power gushed out, as if the blue grass was condensed from the mysterious power. As soon as the palm of his hand touched the blue crystal ball, Tang San's body trembled violently. He was surprised to find that the beautiful-looking blue crystal ball had huge suction power, and his internal force seemed to have found a catharsis. Generally surging out. He wanted to break free, but he couldn't escape the strong suction. Qian Rongxiu was also surprised. Just when she thought Tang San's spirit power might not be as high as she thought, suddenly, the blue crystal ball in her hand lit up, and the dazzling blue light spread from the beginning, with the blink of an eye. This crystal ball gleams like a dazzling gem. The faint blue halo was exposed, indescribably moving. According to the traditional test, as long as the crystal ball shows a little sense, even if it is a ray of light, it proves that the testee has spirit power, and there is only one explanation for the dazzling light shining in the blue crystal ball. Innately full of spirit power, how is it possible? How can an abandoned martial arts soul like Lan Yinko be innately full of soul power? Could it be that the spirit is mutated? Qian Rongxiu muttered to herself, not even noticing a faint black light flashing on Tang San's other palm. Tang Chen, who was watching Tang San's changes tightly beside Tang San, keenly discovered this, and he couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief when he saw that Tang San was still a twin spirit like the original. You know, as a traverser, he is always worried that his butterfly effect will affect his brother's martial arts. Now it seems that he is worrying too much. Xiao San is still the peerless genius with twin martial arts. Tang San naturally found that he was different from the other children in the test, and asked in confusion, "This soul master, what is innate full soul power?" Qian Rongxiu explained, when each person awakens a spirit, in addition to the shape of the spirit that determines whether it is strong or not, the amount of spirit power is also crucial. Most people have no spirit power when they awaken. Yes, just like these children before. They are destined to be unable to become soul masters in their entire lives. As long as there is soul power, even if there is only a trace, they can be cultivated through meditation, and when the soul is awakened, the soul power is as much as it is important to determine the starting level of the soul master's cultivation. The higher the innate soul power, the faster the acquired cultivation speed. At the same time, because of the high starting point, it is natural to be ahead of others. The so-called innate full soul power is in the martial soul. When awakening, the highest soul power that can be achieved innately. Highest soul power. Tang San looked at Qian Rongxiu, thinking about the electrical transfer. He didn't know how his soul power was, but it was certain that the blue crystal ball in charge of testing was absorbing his own inner strength of the profound sky art. Could it be said that one's own internal power has become soul power in this world? Seeing Tang San still having some doubts, she tirelessly explained, "Our spirit level is like this, every 10th level is a title. As long as the spirit is awakened, it can automatically be called a spirit warrior. Of course, it's just that a first-level spirit warrior. According to the strength of the martial power, the ranks are distinguished. The so-called innate full soul power means that after awakening, the soul power can reach the 10th highest innate soul power. People who are innate full soul power, even in the entire empire among them, they are all rare. My awakened soul power was only level 5 innate. You are a lie, you are obviously at level 20. Tang Chen murmured in his heart. It stands to reason that if there is no spirit ring, spirit power should not be able to break the bottleneck, so the highest innate spirit power should also be 10th level. So the question is, why is Qian Rongxiu's innate soul power at level 20? Tang Chen fell into deep thought. On the side, Tang San had already recovered at this time, and finally found a real spirit master. He naturally wouldn't give up, and hurriedly asked the doubts in his heart. The spirit power can only reach 10th level innate. Taller Qian Rongxiu's white light converged, and she retracted her spirit possession. Of course not. It is not easy to increase the strength of a spirit master. Every time you leap a title, it is not just that your spirit power must reach the peak of the previous title. At the same time, you also need to get a spirit ring. Without a spirit ring, even if you practice harder, you won't be able to enter the next title. Just like you are now, because you have reached the innate full spirit power, so your spirit power wants continuing to improve is not just meditation, but you must first obtain a spirit ring and enter the next level before you can continue to practice. Tang San suddenly said, "Spirit ring, is that the aura on your body just now? You are 36th level, so you have 3 spirit rings." Qian Rongxiu nodded and said, "That's right, people with innate soul power like you are all true geniuses. Besides, your blue-silver grass is not necessarily a waste martial arts soul." After hearing Qian Rongxiu's words, Tang San's heart moved and asked, "How to say? Do you know that Wuhan can also mutate?" Without waiting for Tang San's answer, she went on to say, "Wuhan mutations are actually very common in Douluo continent. In the history of the empire, there have been countless times of Wuhan mutations. However, most Wuhan mutations are not benign. There are very few martial spirits that have truly mutated in a good direction. But..." Qian Rongxiu looked at Tang San with interest, and continued, "According to your innate soul-powered aptitude, your blue-silver grass martial spirit should not be that simple." Tang San was silent. The information contained in Qian Rongxiu's words was far beyond the scope of his knowledge, and he had to digest it. Qian Rongxiu didn't care either. Although innate full spirit power is very rare, it seems to her to be that way. Compared with himself, a person with an innate soul power of 20th level, any genius would be eclipsed. So she moved her gaze to Tang Chen and said, "Now, it's the next child's turn to awaken the martial spirit. Now, let me see what kind of martial spirit will be awakened from people who make me feel close."